Welcome to the #1 source for information, news, and opinion on your Columbus Blue Jackets. This is CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. You can also find the audio version on the CBJ Radio SoundCloud page, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Google Play Music, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Now here's your host, Bob McGalligan.
Welcome once again to another edition of CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. This is the Monday Mailbag edition, and boy, my timing couldn't be any better, could it? After what happened at Nationwide Arena yesterday when the Blue Jackets fell to the Carolina Hurricanes by the score of 6-5. That's right, 6-5. A lot of offense, not a heck of a lot of defense in that game. So that's the way that one went down. We'll talk about that. There's plenty to talk about with that as I go through this with you today. Did you watch the other game last night? That one was lopsided as could be. I really went into that game, and I'll be honest with you, it didn't matter to me who won it. I wasn't pulling for one side or the other side. I got to tell you, though, I never liked, well, I shouldn't say that. I've always respected Tom Brady and the results that he gets on the football field. I'd never liked it because he's been in the AFC. And being in the AFC and having him, having watched him win AFC championship games where I had a rooting interest in it for the team he was going up against, I just never liked him in that way. You know what I mean? As a fan, you don't like the guy. You really do like him. I mean, you really can respect what he does. You don't like what he does to your team. So now that he's in the NFC, I have no problem with him winning his 7th Super Bowl. Can you believe that? He's been in it 10 times. And he's won 7 times. He's 43 years old, and it looks like there's no stopping this guy. So that was pretty impressive. That was impressive. So was the Tampa Bay defense. That was pretty impressive as well. But Patrick Mahomes never really got it going in that game. There were a couple of flashes, but when you spend all day running for your life, it tends to make it very difficult to make plays. And ironically, the Blue Jackets know what that feels like because there was much of the day yesterday they were running for their lives in their defensive zone, and it was hard to make plays. Yes, they scored 5 goals. That's great on a normal day for this team. It wasn't great enough to win against Carolina. I'll tell you about that more here in just a moment. But right now, I want to tell you about Telhio Credit Union. You know, they've been putting people over profits since all the way back in 1934. So it's not something that's new to them. It's not something they have to think about. It is something that they literally just do. You know, when Torch talks about the Blue Jackets having their identity and they need to play their way, well, that's the way Telhio Credit Union plays right there. People ahead of profits. That's what they do. That's what they've done for a long, 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 long time. It is their identity. To find out more, go to their website. Surf around. Click on all the different tabs that you want to. The information is there. Why should you join a credit union? What's the difference between that and a bank? What services do they provide that maybe your current bank doesn't provide? It's all right there. It's at your fingertips. So make sure you give them a chance. Check them out. Telhio Credit Union. Find them on the web at telhio.org. All right. It's a Monday mailbag. As I said, 6-5. Final yesterday. I know what you're waiting for me to talk about. I know what you want. I'm not giving it to you right now. Just give me a minute. I want to start this. Listen, I had so much time yesterday and last night just thinking about this and talking about this and just being not happy at all. I was going to use a stronger word. There's no need for that. I was mad. That's strong enough. I was mad about it, okay? But let me go to the email bag here, BobbyMack@BlueJackets.com, because Ethan sent this email to me actually last Tuesday, right after we did last week's edition of the Monday Mailbag. I want to read it to you, though, because it's got some good stuff in here. On the day he sent it to me, Patrick Laine was making his Blue Jackets debut. Okay, I should point that out to you, and I'm pointing it out because here's how it starts. So Laine is set to start tonight, and I didn't think of this question until today. I'm assuming the question will be answered this week, but I'm afraid there will be some growing pains And other fans will immediately start saying we lost in the trade, and they'll call for Yarmo's resignation. However, as you're reading this, I could also say this is the guy that we have been needing since Bread left, Artemi Panarin, of course. Torts has been consistent this week in saying that that Laine has been out for weeks and may not be in shape to fully show us what he can do. Anyway, I love the show and keep up the good work. So thank you for that, Ethan. And I read this to you. Normally, I wouldn't go back and get a 6-day-old email and read it, but now we've got those 6 days to go back and really address everything that you talked about. Yeah, he was out for weeks, and I don't think he is still fully in shape, to be quite honest with you, but that would be hard-pressed to prove after the couple of shots he took to get 2 goals yesterday, right? What we saw yesterday is exactly what we want to see out of Patrick Laine. It is that shot, that one-time shot, just that blast coming out of the left wing circle. He did it to James Reimer 2 times yesterday. With a little bit more time, he might have had a third opportunity. Who knows? But yeah, that's. I don't think anybody's going to be saying that the trade was lost by the Blue Jackets and calling for Yarmo's job or anything, any of those things that you're talking about, Ethan. Now, as I say that, in all fairness, as it goes on, there will be more to talk about, like, can you get him signed to a long-term contract? And let me ask you this question. Let me ask you, just between you and I, right? There was a guy I used to know. He was a writer. I forget who he wrote for, but I met him in Pawtucket, Rhode Island when I was doing AAA baseball. And he was famous for saying, hey, just between me, you, and the light post. All right, so let's do that one. The question, I almost forgot the question. I made myself laugh. The question is, if I told you today the Blue Jackets are going to give Patrick Laine $10 million a year for 8 years, are you cool with that? Are you cool with burning up $10 million worth of salary cap on Patrick Laine? I'll let you think about it for a second. All right, time's up. That's all you should need. Yes, absolutely yes. That's what I would say. Look, that's what Sergei Bobrovsky was commanding to get as a goaltender. We've talked about this before. That's a lot of money to put on a goaltender. Yes, I know goaltending is important, but if you can outscore the other guy 6-5, haha, I know that wasn't funny. But if you can outscore the other guy, look, there's a premium on offense, right? I mean, you've got to have scoring. This team hasn't had it. When they had it last time, it got away from them. They have a chance to keep this guy. Remember the last guy, the report was that they offered even more than that for the 8 years. So we'll see. I hope they can get him to stay for a number of reasons. The shooting and the scoring is reason number one. But I like this guy. I like him. He's real. He's kind of laid back. He's intense on the ice. He's laid back in person. He's funny. He's real. So I like him a lot. There's a lot to like about not just his game, but to like about him as well. So I hope they can figure it out. So this leads me into what you're waiting for. And I don't know if I'm going to satisfy you with what you're waiting for. Yesterday, even though the Blue Jackets lose by a goal, there is a bitter taste in all of our mouths about that loss because there's not a question as to whether or not every one of the Carolina goals should have counted. One of them should not have counted. That's not even a question. It shouldn't have counted. The National Hockey League admitted to that. All right, let me set the stage. Minute 15 left in the second period. Warren Foegele is down near the front of the net. He gets a puck and he scores. Okay? The Blue Jackets challenge the play, saying that it was offside upon entering the zone. Now, what happens then is the linesmen come over to the penalty box area. They get the tablet. They're communicating with a video replay official in the building. Toronto also can see this. Toronto's got their own war room there. They're supposed to be able to override this. So there's the conversation. It's going on in the building. All right? On the ice, upstairs. Fine. So they go back and they review the play. Now, first of all, I'm trying to look at replays. And I thought, well, I don't have a great angle here. This is going to take a while. And lo and behold, I couldn't believe it. The linesman like skated right out and said, upon review, it's a good goal, and Columbus has been charged with a timeout. Or not a timeout, I'm sorry, that's what it used to be. They've been charged with a penalty for delay of game because that's the rule they changed it to last year. Okay. So now you're shorthanded. A minute 15 seconds left in the second period. Blue Jackets kill that minute 15, go into the dressing room. See David Savard talking with the officials on the ice before they leave the ice, whatever. They weren't happy about something, whatever that something was. Okay. I mean, I don't know what it was. I'm like you, I'm guessing. I'm like, well, Savard had his stick broken over there. Maybe he thought he got slashed. There should have been a call. I don't know. Have no idea. So they go into the dressing room. They come out to start the third period. Lo and behold, there's no penalty time on the clock. And it's 5-on-5. There should have been 45 seconds worth of power play time left, but it's not there. And then I'm trying to ask, and nobody knows. Like nobody. Now, here's what happens whenever there's a challenge. And no matter how it comes out, I get an email from the NHL, and it's usually pretty quick. I mean, it's not instantaneous or anything like that, but it's usually within a very quick time reference, and it explains what happened. The goal was good, and here's why. The goal was not good, and here's why. Here's the rule that it applies to, blah, blah, blah. It's all right there, black and white. So this period's going on, and I keep refreshing my email, and I've got nothing. And I'm trying to text people, and they're saying, well, we're waiting for the email. Everybody's waiting for the email. The email doesn't come out until the game ends. Strange. Doesn't come out until the game ends. And this is the email. I'm just going to read the explanation from the league to you, okay? It says, Coach's Challenge clarification, Carolina at Columbus, 18:45 of the second period. Columbus requested a coach's challenge for offside prior to a goal at the 18:45 mark of the second period. During the review, a miscommunication occurred between the video replay booth in Columbus, the linesman, and the situation room, and play resumed before all replays could be reviewed to confirm the offside. The challenge by Columbus should have resulted in the Carolina goal being disallowed. Subsequently, Columbus was assessed a delay of game penalty after confirmation in the intermission that the play was offside. The remaining 45 seconds of the delay of game penalty issued was rescinded to begin the third period. That's it. That's all. No explanation as to why. All right. Look, and I understand people make mistakes. I get it. Okay? I get it. I have no problem with that. Well, I do now, but people are going to make mistakes. But here's my question. And this is a question I would like to have answered, and I don't know if I'll get it answered today or not. If you take away the power play time, so you're obviously saying, look, we made a mistake. You shouldn't have been assessed a penalty. First of all, they had to skate for that minute and 15 shorthanded. All right? You just gave up that goal. And now you had to skate shorthanded. That's a minute and 15 seconds. You might have had a better chance to get it back, and that time was stolen from you. And then they take away the other 45 seconds, but they didn't take away the goal. Now, nowhere on here is there a rule cited where they can't take the goal off the board. My question is, this is what I don't understand. And I'm not ripping the NHL. I'm asking the question. I'm asking the same question that you're asking. I'm asking the same question that a lot of people are asking. Why couldn't you just take the goal off the board too? This happened with a minute 15 left in the period. Now, I understand if it happens with 10 minutes left in the period, the scenario that I'm about to present to you could not, would not, should not happen. But it wasn't with 10 minutes left. It was with a minute and 15 seconds left in the period. What would have been the harm? You've realized in between periods, screwed this up. We made a mistake. We're sorry. Let us fix this for you. Okay, fine. Not only are we going to take away the 45 seconds, we're going to take away the goal. And we're going to take away the other minute and 15 seconds that you were penalized that you shouldn't have been. So what we're going to do is we're going to come out to start the third period. The third period is going to be 21 minutes and 15 seconds long. So we're going to go back to that point where we messed up. The point where we messed up, that's where we're going to go back to. And we're going to make this right. Play 21 minutes and 15 seconds. What happens, happens. You know, if Carolina goes out and scores again in that minute 15, great. Okay, you don't have a gripe. This is the problem. Because now there is a question. Now there's always going to be a question till the end of the year. And God forbid you miss the playoffs by 1 point. All these points are 4-point games this year. You don't get to overtime because of that. You don't get maybe 2 points because of that. How do you know? Nobody knows. So let's be honest. It was a huge mistake. People are human. They make mistakes. Okay, I understand that. But it was a doozy that they made, right? So with that doozy, Blue Jackets lose by a goal. But it's also fair to say this. They didn't lose that game because of that play. They lost the game because they didn't play well enough overall, which I'll get into with some questions. They didn't lose the game because of that play. But that play hurt. There's no doubt. That mistake hurt. Directly hurt the Blue Jackets. And some people are tweeting me, oh, this always happens. It seems like it always happens. It doesn't always happen. Let's be honest about this, okay? It doesn't always happen. But it seems like it when you have a situation like, remember in L.A. where the clock stopped and then Drew Doughty scored when there shouldn't have been time on the clock? Remember when the Blue Jackets should have beaten the Chicago Blackhawks last year and it was another clock issue and then Korpisalo got hurt in the shootout? Remember that? Oh, and by the way, for those of you who were very upset with John Tortorella for not addressing this in his post-game press conference yesterday, and there were some of you, and I saw some of the stuff you put out there, and again, it showed me how much people forget or how ignorant people are about certain situations. If you go back to that situation against Chicago last year, John Tortorella got fined heavily by the league. And then they put him on double secret probation. And in the playoffs, when he didn't elaborate post-game, he got fined again a much larger amount of money. The league's already said they were wrong. What's he supposed to do? Sit there and rail about it and pay a whole bunch of money to the National Hockey League, ripping a decision that they already said was the wrong one? No. Who would do that? Who in their right mind would do that? Right? I wouldn't do it. If I knew that it was going to cost me thousands of dollars, why would I go on and rip something that somebody's already admitted to making a mistake to? Dumb. Players talked about it. They had their things to say, and they said them. And they'll be fine. I mean, they weren't egregious about it, but John Tortorella's under a microscope. And you could say, well, his double secret probation should have ended at the end of last year. Oh, yeah. Did I tell you his name's John Tortorella? It never ends. And he was smart to, again, there's no, when somebody says they're wrong, what do? Just keep jumping on them and saying, I know you said you're wrong, but you're wrong. I know you said you're wrong and you are wrong, but you screwed me over. They all know it. This team just has to make sure that it's not a 1-point difference come the end of the year. And it's really on them. If they play better during that game, I don't even have 10 minutes to talk about this, quite honestly. Then we laugh it off. Well, just think they could have won by a bigger margin. That goal shouldn't have counted. That's how I would be talking about it if they would have played better throughout the game. All right, let me get some voice questions in here. Let's start with this one and see what we got here from you. More of you are going to the voice memo to get your voice on the show, and I like that. I like that. I told you before, I'd like to see more of that. So this week we got some more. Here we go.
Hi, Bob. Jonathan, Grove City here. I wanted to ask you about two kind of related topics. The first, relating to the center position, because coming into the season after the free agency and trade moves the Jackets had, it seemed like the center position was going to be really solid, and that could be a position of strength for us this year. And just talking about how quickly, when things change, with the Dubois and Domi not quite living up to what we wanted, how quickly that has now become a weakness. And I just wanted you to kind of talk about the importance of that center position and why it can impact things as greatly as it does. And then the second thing I wanted to talk about, again related to that, is it doesn't seem like many people have actually addressed how drastically this lineup has changed. Right now, we've got, I think, 6 guys that are brand new to the team this year, and that's 7 counting Foodie. I mean, we've got Line, Roslovic, Domi, Grigorenko, Mikko Koivu, and Delzato, and talking about how, with bringing in that many guys, especially guys getting top 6 minutes, that can impact team chemistry, trying to learn the systems, trying to get used to how, the Columbus Blue Jackets play and our whatnot, or even do we need to kind of start changing how we play because of such a drastic change in our roster. So I was just hoping you could kind of touch on both of those topics and talk about how that might be impacting the struggles that we're seeing on the Blue Jackets team right now. Thanks.
Well, Jonathan, thank you. Very good questions. I'm going to start with the question about the center position. Actually, I talked with John Tortorella about both of these things during my pregame interview yesterday. If you haven't heard that, you can go find it at the CBJ Radio SoundCloud page or wherever you get your podcast, and you can listen to him talk about this. But here's why the center position, and I just said this to somebody yesterday. I may have said it to my host, Dylan Tyre. I said, remember coming into the season, we thought Pierre-Luc Dubois, Max Domi, Mikko Koivu, Riley Nash, the center position is better than it has been in years. Years. Now, Dubois is gone. Domi's playing on the wing. Texier is trying to learn the position at the NHL level. Nash is fine. Koivu is still adjusting. John Tortorella told me that yesterday, that Mikko's played in this league for a long time, but it's a new team. It's a little bit different system, and he's trying to get the nuances of it. So he's getting acclimated, and he missed that time because he was in the COVID protocol, missed the first couple of games of the year. That didn't help. So, so it's all changed now. But here's the reason that it is so significant, because the center ice position has the most defensive responsibility of all the forwards. And that's why Max Domi has been moved to the wing, because he is struggling with the defensive part of the game. He's struggling with the offensive part too, but I think that's because he's trying to put a little bit too much pressure on himself. But the defensive part of the game, it's tough as a centerman. And Texier is learning, but he's not there yet. There have been some goals that have been scored against the Blue Jackets, especially in overtime, because he didn't have the right coverage. So he's learning. Domi's learning. And that's what changes the entire dynamic of the thing. And that takes it. So that's what makes it so important. It's the overall responsibility of that position. It's not just streak down the ice and score goals. That's the wingers. Their defensive responsibility is much less than the guy in the middle. So that's what it is with the centerman. But you could just roll that right into the second part of your question. With all the new guys, the cohesiveness isn't quite there. You just expect that it would be because there are so many guys that have come back, but that's not always the case. These new guys do have to get acclimated, and they're doing that slowly. There is so much team building that can be done outside of the arena and off the ice. And they can't do any of it right now because of COVID. When they're on the road, they can't go anywhere and have fun. They're stuck in the hotel and they go to the rink. That's it. They can't go out for a team dinner at a nice restaurant with, no coaches around and have a good time. They can't, there's just nothing they can do. And as John Tortorella said, when I brought this up to him, he very quickly pointed out every team in the league is going through the same thing, and they are. But we don't care about every other team in the league, do we? No, you and I care about this team and what they're going through. But it makes it really, really hard because they can't go do that extra stuff. So, Jonathan, you're dead on. You're dead on in both your points. So, good questions. Let's queue up another one here and find out what else is on your mind here on this Monday Mailbag edition of CBJ and 30, which is brought to you, as always, by Telhio Credit Union. In my business, this is where we talk and we're dragging things out, waiting for something to get set up, and now it is.
Hey, Bobby. Nick from Dayton, Ohio. Quick question for you. Keep it short. After the Jackets 6-5 loss this afternoon to Carolina, do you believe that was a result of the Jackets' defensive struggles because they didn't have Zach Werenski and that stability that he provides, or is that just a product of the Carolina Hurricanes and their speed and what they can do when they get on their forecheck? Be interested to hear your answer. Thanks.
Well, Nick, it is the Carolina Hurricanes and what they can do on their forecheck and what the Blue Jackets didn't do to counter that forecheck, how they weren't able to move the puck out of their own zone, how they kept getting pinned inside of their own zone for what seemed to be long periods. And not having Zach Werenski doesn't help you. But to be honest, go back to the game on Tuesday against the Dallas Stars, you saw the same thing. And Zach played in that game. This is a problem that is plaguing this team. They're having a hard time getting out of their own end. And it's when you play a team like Carolina, it really gets amplified. You know, you can really see it. And they had them scrambling. I'm talking about Carolina. They had the Blue Jackets scrambling throughout a lot of that game. And it showed. It was like they, as Jody Shelley put it after the game, it was like they didn't expect it. You've got to expect it. That's what Carolina does. And they had better be ready to counter it tonight, or the same thing is going to happen to them. The very same thing is going to happen to them if they're not ready for it tonight. It's as simple as that. So I hope they're ready for it. But thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. We have great fans in Dayton. I know there's such a great hockey history in Dayton, back to the Dayton Gems. And, you know, I used to go in there in the East Coast Hockey League and would play. I was in Johnstown, of course. We'd play against the Dayton Bombers. I got a great story for you. Great story from going to play the Dayton Bombers one night. If I told this story before, bear with me because you're going to hear it again because I like to tell it. So we get there. Nick Fatiu, former tough guy, NHL tough guy, was our coach. And, Nicky he could make our bus driver, Frank, nervous just by looking at him. He could make him nervous, right? So we go to Dayton. We were playing in the Nutter Center there at Wright State. And the bus, Frank led us off at the top of the loading dock. It's a sloped ramp into the loading dock there. So when we pulled in, we all got off the bus while it was at the top of the ramp, and the guys got their bags and took them in and, we played the game, got beat. I think we got beat pretty badly enough that Nick was not in a good mood at all, nor should he have been. So when we come out, the bus was back down that ramp, which is normal. That is normal. In the NHL, it happens all the time. You get dropped off one place, the bus is parked in another place. No big deal, right? So we get on the bus, and when everybody's on the bus, Nick says to Frank, "All right, let's go." And he puts it in gear, and he tries to go, and you can hear the engine rev, and the bus isn't going anywhere. And now Frank is nervous because he knows Nick's in a bad mood. And then Nick just starts yelling at him. I can't tell you all the words he said, but Frank, what the, So Frank has no idea what's going on. So he gets out of the bus and he walks back along the bus. You can see him out the window, walk along the bus, and he comes back and he goes, "Nicky, you're going to have everybody get off the bus." So, Nick's like asking him why. But anyway, he finally says, "Everybody off the bus." So we all get off the bus. Here's what happened. In that loading dock, there were some railroad ties laying at the bottom of it. And it was so the bus was straddling these ties. They were underneath the bus. And when he backed that bus down there were no players, there were no people on the bus but the driver and no equipment. It was all inside. So when he backed the bus down there, it was light and empty. After we all piled on, it dropped the frame of the bus on top of those railroad ties. And that's why the bus wouldn't move. And it was just the funniest thing because what you had to laugh. You had to laugh, and the players laughed, and eventually Nick Fatiu laughed. But you don't want that stuff to happen after you lose on the road badly. So that's my that's my favorite trip over to Dayton. And I told you, Jody and I told you the one about getting stuck on the interstate when it was so icy the bus wouldn't move. So so I got a couple of good things over there in Dayton. So Nick, thanks for checking in with your question. Let's go from Dayton now to New York.
Hey Bob, Dave in New York. Two questions. Could you explain what was going on with the penalty that got called at the end of the second into the third for the delay game with the goal? I've never seen a penalty get waived off retroactively after it's already started before. That was new to me, and I've been watching and playing hockey for years. So if you know the specifics, please enlighten me. Also, it was Jody's birthday yesterday, so if you could give either your favorite Jody Shelley story, favorite memory, whatever have you. I know a lot of people would love to hear it. Thanks.
Well, Dave, that's good timing on that question. And of course, you've already been listening, so you heard me go through the whole spiel about the goal, penalty, lack of penalty, all that stuff. So that one's covered. It was Jody's birthday yesterday. Jody doesn't talk about his birthday. You never know it was his birthday. And when you bring it up to him, you got to catch him by surprise, or I usually catch him by surprise with it on the air when I get the chance. So, my favorite Jody Shelley story, the one I can tell you, like something I can tell you on the show, let's see. I just told you about that. I alluded to the one in Johnstown where we had to try to push the bus on the ice. But, my favorite, and Jody and I remember, we were together back in that 98-99 season in Johnstown. He came to Syracuse for the or did I say 98-99? No, it would have been 97-98. That's what it would have been, because then I left and 99. No, that's right. It was 98-99. Then 2000, 2001, he came to Syracuse with the Blue Jackets. All right. Now that I've got my dates straight. We've known each other for all that time. And, so working together, and this is what, our 7th year Jody's been doing this, I think, maybe. Too many numbers. I should know better than to get into all that. So, if you're getting older, you know how that is, right? Everything seems like it was yesterday. It was not. But really, my favorite Jody story is, I love when he tells people about the first broadcast that he did with me, especially knowing him as a player and then watching him come in that very first night. And, he had everybody in my business, everybody has their own way of doing things. Okay. Everybody prepares differently. Some people do it for hours on end and they write down everything, and they come in and they lay out sheets of paper and they've got it all. Other people, like with me, I read, I make some notes, or at least I know where to find what I want to go back and reference later on. Everyone's different. I've been teaching students, and I've told them that because they're finding it out when they work with somebody else. Look, they may not prepare the way you do. So if you're going to work together, it's a partnership, and you have to help them figure out how they need to prepare. And if you're responsible for getting information to them, you got to get it to them when they need it so that they can have success. So Jody comes in that first night. He had talked to Bill Davich, and Bill was famous for having a book. He and George Matthews used to have these custom made books, and they would have notes from every game. And I did that when I was in the East Coast Hockey League and in the American Hockey League, because there I didn't have everything at my fingertips. Like here, I can go and I can click on this and I get head to head. I can get, stats by, I can get almost whatever I want. Take some work to surf around on the internet, but I can get it. I know where to go, the NHL media site or whatever it is. So, those guys were always used to writing everything down. So Jody comes in that first night and he's got he's got one of these books. He's talked to Bill Davich, and Billy's told him this book is essential, and he's got this book, and he's carrying this big book, and he's got all this stuff, and I just smiled, and I said, "Where'd you get that?" Oh, I was talking to Billy, and he was showing me how he puts everything together. I thought that was a good idea. Okay, that's good, and it is a good idea. Look, he's just starting out; he's trying to figure it out, and when he tells the story, it's so much funnier. I got to get him on the show just to tell the story one day. But long story short, he gets in there. Um, the the lights go down for the player introductions. This is a preseason game. Lights go down for player introductions. We get into the anthem, and all of a sudden, my boss is saying to me, "Hey, I forgot we have 3 keys to the game, and it's sponsored. You got to do that when we come out of this anthem break." I said, "Okay." So I lean over to Jody. I said, "Hey, we got to do 3 keys to the game. Could you come up with 3 things that are going to be important here tonight?" And of course, he looks at me and he goes, "Oh yeah, sure." And so we come out of the break, and I just start talking. You know how I do if you listen to me. All right, ready to go here. The Blue Jackets are wearing their home uniforms, union blue, red, white, blah, 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 blah. And now it's time for the 3 keys to the game, which are being brought to you by whoever it was brought to you by at that point. And here are the 3 keys of Jody Shelley. And he, look, I didn't notice as much because he went through it. But when he tells the story, he talks about how he walked in there all confident, had his book, and he was all prepared. And all of a sudden, the lights went down, and I started talking a million miles a minute. And I asked him to do these 3 keys, and he was in a whirlwind. So it's my favorite story for a couple of reasons. First of all, when he tells it, it's really, really funny because when I look at it, I didn't think that much of it, but he thought a lot of it at the time. The other reason it's my favorite story is because I told him that night. I said, "Listen, you're going to have to figure out your own way to prepare. Whatever works for you is what's going to work for you, and it's going to take you time to figure it out. Just like playing, you figured out what was the best way for you to go about getting ready for every game. This job will be the same thing." And what really makes it my favorite story is because I see him now and where he is in this part of the business and how well he does what he does. And I think back to that first night, and when he tells a story, I laugh because you would never think to see him now, you would never know that there was so much uncertainty in his game on his first broadcast that he did with me. So that is my favorite Jody story. And there are a lot of other ones. Again, we've spent a lot of time together. We've done a lot of things, and it is to me, it is truly a blessing that I get to go to work with one of my best friends every day that I go to the rink. This year it's been a little bit different, but of course we still communicate via Zoom and we see each other at the rink and all that stuff and we talk. So that's truly uh, that's a gift for me, to be honest, to be able to have him here day in and day out. But that is my favorite story, and I'm telling you, I'm going to get him to tell it someday because it is so much funnier when he tells it. All right, what else do we have here? Got I know I've got another voice message. And again, remember, you can send these anytime. Just record a voice memo on your phone, email it to me, bobbymac@bluejackets.com. It is just that simple for you to do. It'd be even more simple if I could get the thing to load here, and then I can get you this one. And I really want to get this one too. So all right, I'm going to get it in just a second. In the meantime, let me go to Twitter at Bobby Mac Sports. Bake says this question: what is the latest on Elvis? I think it's fair to say that Corpy could use a game or 2 off. First of all, there's a couple of things here. Bakes, listen to me. You don't have to send 3 or 4 tweets just to get a question on. Just think of your best and send it. Now, maybe this happened yesterday because you were mad and your first 2 tweets were pretty mad at the officials. So maybe I should give you a pass this time, but think of your best question or 2 and put them in the tweet. All right? Just it's going to be fine. See, you made the show. But just breathe. Give me your best. And this is a good question right here. Elvis, So he gets hit on Wednesday in practice. He look, I saw the video of it. I wasn't there to see the practice. I saw the video of it. He takes a shot in the face. He was stunned. Um, upper body injury. Think what you will. I don't have any further update on him, and I would assume that it is day to day with him on that. But to say that Corpy deserves a couple of days off, no, I don't. I don't think that. I don't think that. And I'll get into that more in just a second here. But I want to give you this other voice question that I got. Here it is.
Hey, Bob, Joe from Cleveland. Was listening to the game on the radio again yesterday, and was kind of thinking the past week, there's been a lot of high scores against this Blue Jackets team, and Tortorella had said that he wanted to go with a more offensive-minded approach this year, and if it wasn't working, that he would go back to the defensive-minded approach that we've seen in past years. And with the recent injury loss of Merzlikins and Kivs being out, and us just basically down to Korpisalo, you think Tortorella is going to be forced to go back to a defensive-minded approach? I almost think he kind of has to at this point in time. We definitely don't seem capable to outshoot other teams. Even though we were able to get 5 goals yesterday, this is not a team that can get in a shootout with another high scoring team like the Hurricanes were yesterday. So also, who does your bumper music? Who picks that out? Is that Dylan Tyre? If so, I really like his taste. Listening to Meshuggah and Clutch and some of the other metal bands that you have on there as bumper music is good. I like the musical taste that you guys have going on there. Also, have you ever thought about using maybe some regional or local bands from the Ohio area to fill in on some of the bumper music? Just a suggestion, just an idea. I might know a few bands. Thanks for all you do, Bob. Take care.
Joe, that was so smooth. So smooth. I loved how you did that. I'll start with the music question first. And by the way, these are 2 really good questions. I mean, one is really has substance to it, and this one is fun. Derek Burns is our network producer, and that would be his musical taste, I can tell you. So he is the guy that you need to tip your cap to for the rejoin music that you like so much on the Blue Jackets radio network. Okay. As far as local bands, now it's funny you say this because I've been thinking about this for a while, and I wondered if I should put it out here or not. So I will. Here's what I'd like to have. I would like to have some kind of theme for this show. I would like to have some kind of a personalized theme for this show. And I was thinking about asking people to if you have a band or something like that and you want to put something together and maybe have a go of it and let me listen to it and see if it's something that works for CBJ in 30. I think that would be a lot of fun. Now, I didn't ask any of my superiors about this, so I might be in big trouble right now just for reaching out and saying, give it to me. But but anyway, I've been thinking about it. I think it'd be cool to have a theme. Now, there are other, look, I know of another local podcast that had somebody do a theme for them, and I didn't, it was it had no words, and it was just it's not what I would have wanted. I mean, I was listen. You're talking to a guy that once upon a time, when I was working in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, was trying to get a polka band to redo the song that they had written called the Johnstown Polka. I was trying to get them to redo it as the Johnstown Chiefs Polka. I rewrote all the lyrics for them. It never came to be, but but I did that, and I reached out to them. We talked about it. So what I'm saying, and if you're saying to yourself, well, why would you look for a polka band to do that for a hockey team? Listen, if you don't know Western Pennsylvania very well, you'll never get it. All right, that would have worked. Trust me, it would have worked. But anyhow, so Joe in Cleveland, uh, I would be open to ideas. Again, I haven't run it by anybody, so this is just you and I, Joe. You and I talking about this, but I think it would be cool to have a neat theme that's not just, some instrumental thing that you downloaded somewhere, something with a personal touch. I think that would be cool. So if you know anybody that could, that would maybe want to put something together to audition with that, then I would listen to it, and I would run it through the channels. How's that? Okay. Now let me get to your really, really good question. That's about the defense. And you're right. Torch did say he was going to open it up a little bit this year. He felt confident enough in the goaltenders. And it's a good point that you make with Merzlikins out. And now Matisse Kivlenix is out before he even got the dress as a backup, for crying out loud. Your backup goaltender is a guy that's never played in the National Hockey League. This is not ideal, especially with a game every other day. Or in this case, as of today, it's a back-to-back. It's a good question. But I don't think that they have morphed that much into that more wide open style. I think the bigger problems are, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not, tip shots from the blue line. Joe Pavelski scores 2 goals for the Dallas Stars last Tuesday on shots that are taken from the blue line and they get tipped and redirected. Those are the toughest shots for goaltenders to stop. What happened yesterday? Jordan Stahl tips one. That other shot that Dougie Hamilton took goes off Liam Foodie's stick, and then David Savard, for some inexplicable reason, decides to jump up and try to glove it, like grab it or bat it like a volleyball, like he's spiking one in the Olympics, and it hits off his glove, changes the direction, and puts it by Korpisalo. The problem, quite honestly, let's just throw it out there. The problem is the defenseman's play. And I say that almost across the board, but I'll definitely say it for the top 2 pair. There's no question Zach Werenski and Seth Jones haven't looked like themselves. Now, they had just started to, Jones had a couple of assists yesterday. He's got 200 points now. So he's starting to come around. He had a goal a couple of games ago. And I'm not just talking about them scoring points. I'm talking about the defense that they play in front of the goaltender. They have not been themselves, either one of those guys. They're just starting to look like themselves, and now Zach is hurt. David Savard and Vladislav Gavrikov, especially Gavrikov, there have been many games I've walked away saying he's struggling. He's fighting it a little bit. So that to me, that is the problem. It is not, needing to tighten it up in front of the goaltender. Guys are there. They're either not making plays, they're inadvertently tipping pucks, or they're allowing a guy to get free so that he can tip a puck when it's on its way to the net. I think that is the bigger problem, Joe, than, pulling them back. I think they're already back, and they're just, they just haven't been as effective as we have seen them be in the past. So they need to get it together. They need to figure it out. Dean Kukin goes up and plays with Seth Jones yesterday. Del Zotto rotated in there a couple of times. Del Zotto and Kukin have been, John Tortorella said it. They've been their best pair. And then I saw people on Twitter saying, oh, no, he's going to break up the best pair. What's wrong with him? Oh, you want to put Scott Harrington on the top pair with Seth Jones? Although, in all fairness and honesty, I thought Scott Harrington played well yesterday. I think Scott Harrington always plays well. Is he going to have a screw up, once every couple of games because he gets over aggressive? Yes, he is. But that going into it. He's never going to shy away. He's never going to play scared that he's going to get taken out of the lineup. He's going to play like he plays. And that's what I think Torts likes about him the most. He's ready to go when he's needed, even if it goes weeks at a time before they use him. And then he's always the same guy. He always does what he does. He set up a beautiful goal yesterday. So, it's when you're without Werenski, it's already making it tougher. But as a whole, they have all struggled on the back end. They have all struggled. Great questions, great feedback, great suggestions from all of you today. Blue Jackets are going to try to split this series with the Hurricanes. 7 o'clock tonight at Nationwide Arena. Pre-game coverage starting at 6:30 on the Blue Jackets Radio Network. You see, Blue Jackets Radio Network, the El Dorado, Scioto Downs, Blue Jackets Radio Network. And in Columbus, you can hear the game on our new station, which is Columbus Alternative 105.7 FM. So keep that in mind. Columbus Alternative 105.7 in Columbus. And as always, you can get the game through the Blue Jackets app. And if you do that, by the way, because on the NHL app, you can go up there and the headphones are in the corner. Same is true on the Blue Jackets app. But if you go on the Blue Jackets app itself, and if you want pregame and postgame, you want the full Monty. Can I say that? I did. Just get on the app and scroll down. Underneath the ticketing information, you go down there a little ways, you're going to see a Listen Live tab, okay? Just click on that and you can get it through there. Or you can use the headphones if you want to. It doesn't matter. And BlueJackets.com, of course. You can get the game there as well. 6:30 pregame coverage on the Blue Jackets Radio Network and also on Fox Sports Ohio. I think we have covered it all today. I think I was even very generous and held back my rage about the allowed goal yesterday. But what's done is done. You don't like it. I don't like it. The team certainly doesn't like it. But there's not a darn thing any of us are going to do to change it. All the Blue Jackets can do is try to go out there and get 2 points tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes. Thank you for your questions. As always, we'll do it again next Monday. That wraps up this Monday Mailbag edition of CBJ in 30, presented by Ohio Credit Union. Until next time, I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.